to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Kindly bring the nominee in, please. Yes, please administer the oath.
I, Herbert Krapa,
swear by the Almighty God
swear by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee touching the matter in issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Mr. Herbert Krapa, you appeared before this committee not long ago, in 2021. Is that right?
That's right, Mr. Chairman.
Well, you're here again, this time, to be considered for the elevated position of Minister of State, the Ministry of Energy. On behalf of the committee, I congratulate you on your nomination. Members here will ask you questions relating to, as for your CV, we have seen it before, but your performance in government, having been a deputy minister for trade and industry and a deputy minister in energy. So I will open the floor and give the opportunity to members to ask questions. Very well. The ranking member will make a statement before we continue.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I have a prepared statement on behalf of the minority. Majority breaching time-tested appointment committee practice for Minister of State designated at the Ministry of Energy. The minority caucus has taken note of attempts by the majority side to short-circuit and circumvent the due process required in the vetting of the President's nominee for the position of Minister of State at the Ministry of Energy. Long-standing parliamentary practice requires that persons nominated for appointment by the President shall be published in a newspaper of national circulation to inform request memoranda or representation from the public. This ordinarily means that the public ought to be given reasonable notice and adequate time to submit memoranda or make representations to the appointment committee. Fortunately, as we speak this morning, this has not happened. These requests have totally been breached. The minority is at a loss as to the rationale for the indecent haste on the part of the majority, particularly as there's a subsisting Minister of Energy in place, and the nominee is already a deputy minister at the Ministry of Energy. Last week, he took a strong pushback from the minority to call off the vetting of the same nominee just a day after the referral by the Speaker to the Appointments Committee to ensure that the appointment was advertised. The minority wishes to serve notice that it will not be part of any hasty process deliberately designed by the majority to deny the people of Ghana participation in the work of the Appointment Committee and Ghana's democracy. Consistent with the minority's earlier position, the caucus would not participate in the vetting of any ministerial nominee that adds to the already bloated size of this Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government. And again, let me repeat, we will not participate in any process that will add additional minister to an already bloated size Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government. Again, the minority cannot support the president's nomination for the Minister of State at the Ministry of Energy at a time when Ghana is going through very difficult periods, including crippling economic crisis, food insecurity, debt default, corruption, state capture, and wasteful expenditure. The minority once again calls on the President Akufo-Addo to downsize his government, to signal to the people of Ghana that at the very least, he is in tune with the overwhelming feedback from Ghanaians and appreciates the challenges resulting from the bad economic policies of his government. It cannot be the case that while the government asks the people of Ghana to tighten their belt, those in government will have no belt at all. It cannot be the case. While government is asking everybody to tighten his belt, the government and its appointees won't have any belt at all. Under the circumstances, the NDC minority caucus cannot, in good conscience, participate in the vetting of yet another injury time nominee. Chairman, on that note, we are not part of this. Thank you, John.
Very well, thank you, honourable members. At this committee, all we are required to do is to have a quorum. We do have a quorum, and we will proceed. This political statement will be answered to after our work here. Thank you very much. Now, Honourable Patricia, Vice Chair, you will have the opportunity to ask your question.
Right. Thank you very much. I take this opportunity to congratulate my dear son for being nominated as a Minister of State responsible for the energy industry. And while doing so, I just put one or two questions across and I'll be out of this place. The first question I would like to ask, I think in an attempt to solve the country's electricity crisis, what is do you think is a plan to ensure universal access to electricity for all Ghanaians? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I should take the opportunity also to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having me. Mr. Chairman, the plan of the government and His Excellency the President's target is to ensure that we reach universal access by the end of this year, which is 90%. Currently, the access rate is 88.85%. And given the number of projects that we currently have underway, about 500 of them, and the ministry is planning to add on some more projects, we believe that we can meet and even go beyond the 90% that His Excellency the President has given to us as a target for this year. What is difficult is what we are calling the last mile, the hard-to-reach areas. And these are the areas where we are using mini-grid technologies, off-grid technologies to ensure that, especially in island communities, to ensure that we're able to reach Ghanaians living in these areas as well. We have about 8 of those mini-grid, off-grid technologies currently being implemented, and we've just gone out with 35 of them that we'll soon start construction with. And we hope that that, together with solar home systems and the other projects that we have underway, we should be able to reach universal access by the end of this year and even go beyond that into the coming years. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. My second question will be the status of government negotiation with the IPPs. What is the status, if you can brief us on that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, the government negotiations with the IPPs has gone very well. It's been led by the Minister for Finance, Honorable Dr. Amin Adam. As you know, the IPPs, who are now the major generators, have significant debt that government owes them, and the debt continues to accrue. And government took a position that will renegotiate these debts and reach certain renegotiated terms with the IPPs. I had the pleasure of joining the finance minister on these negotiations. But 2 or 3 weeks ago in London, we were able to, together with the lawyers on all sides, we were able to close certain terms which have been submitted to the board of ECG, which we have approved. It's gone on to PURC and then move on to the Attorney General's Department, the Ministries of Energy and Finance, Cabinet, and then Parliament for approval. The terms, Mr. Chairman, I have to say are significant. All of the debt before June 2023 have been ring-fenced, of course, minus fuel, which goes to ECG to be paid to GNPC. That has been ring-fenced as legacy debt, and the tax components have also been set off with GRA and the IPPs. That legacy debt is for Ministry of Finance to pay, which I know that the Ministry of Finance has cleared the 2023 component, and 2024 is being paid. It is forward-looking invoices, which would be for ECG to pay. What we have done, which is significant, is to now carve out 60% dispatch guarantee, other than 100% as was the case before. And that 60% dispatch guarantee, 60% of that is what ECG pays month on month under the cash waterfall mechanism. The 40% has been deferred with a 5-year grace period, and then we start paying after the expiration of the 5 years. We hope that within that period, ECG can put itself together in terms of revenue mobilization, and the payments can go on. We have done tariff levelization as well, and a significant number of terms have been agreed to ensure that the tariff goes down, the debt that had accrued significantly will be dealt with, and then we are able to have more revenue and more funds to generate more for consumption by Ghanaians. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On that note, I would like to to congratulate you for the excellent response.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, very well, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me also use this opportunity to congratulate my brother. He deserved it. He has worked hard. Clearly, no one could have filled the shoes in that ministry other than our brother, Herbert Krapa. Clearly, Minister, if you look at how the world is going, obviously we are moving away from fossil fuel, and we are all now looking at what is called the clean energy. If you can tell us, what is the policy over the years for Ghana in terms of energy transition? Since we are looking at 2030, 2050, 2070, is there any policy that we have?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, yes, Ghana recognizes that we have an ethical responsibility to be part of the global agenda to clean up the environment in terms of emission reductions. And so we have an energy transition framework, national energy transition framework, which looks at how we transition to net zero by 2060 in terms of electrification, in terms of transport, and in terms of other smaller technologies, green, hydrogen, and the rest of them. So we have an energy transition framework which we have worked with the UN Sustainable Energy for All to model into an energy transition investment plan. And the plan is to ensure that we bring in more renewable energy technology, solar, and to some extent wind. Nuclear is part of the arrangement as well, and gas, which has been classified as transition fuel. We hope that 1/3 of our energy mix will be gas-fired thermal plants. So we have a plan. Currently, because we are with the fund, there's very little debt that we can take onto the book, so we are exploring innovative financing mechanisms, blended financing, crowdfunding, patient capital, and all the other tools that we can bring on board to ensure that both VRA and Bui Power Authority, who are the agencies under the ministry really rolling out renewable energy technologies, both institutions will be empowered to support the energy transition plan. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, are you done?
Chairman, I'm okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, Chief.
Speaker, I'm grateful, and let me join colleagues to commend the nominee and probably start off from where he ended on the energy transition, focusing on renewables. You know, as a country, we amended the Bui Power Act to factor in the aspect of renewables. Do you think it's been a solution, or are there other actions that should be taken for us to hasten the transition?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, I think it was a first important major step to give capacity to both Bui and VRA to be responsible or be the lead agencies for our renewable intakes and deployment. But you're right, Mr. Chairman, there's significant work that needs to be done. Under the investment plan, we have modeled a 2,000 megawatts renewable capacity that we're rolling out using both VRA and Bui Power Authority. You know, VRA has about 37 megawatts, Bui has about 55 megawatts, 50 which is on land, and the 5 megawatts which is floating solar. But there's a significant amount of renewables, especially solar, that we can roll out. This 2,000 megawatts we've carved out into 50, 7,500 megawatt parcels, mostly situated up north. And so we've worked with the great company, GridCo, to do the grade assessments as well, because as you know, we have to wheel the electrons from up north to across the country. And so together with the ministry, the renewable plan is being executed. Most of it requires funding, and I spend a lot of my time pitching our renewable plan to prospective investors. And we hope that we're able to bring in some capital to be able to roll out these projects. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Nominee, with the renewables, again, let me stay there for a while. I realize that geothermal and wind is clearly missing in the equation. We appear to be focusing only on solar. Well, one can justify and say because of the potential. But we also do have, and as you do know, potential in the area of geothermal and wind. Do you have any plans in this regard?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you're right. The solar potential is significant and only natural that our attention is focused more on that. The study also shows that we have some wind potential in the eastern coast of the country. Some licenses actually have been given by the Energy Commission, although none of those projects have been able to reach financial close yet. Our wind resource has been termed to be between moderate to high speed, which is good. But we hope that the licenses that have been given by the Energy Commission, we hope that some of these projects can reach financial close and can start. The two leading renewable agencies, VRA, has plans of building a 75 megawatts wind park in Angloga in the Volta region. And then Bui Power Authority as well is working with the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority to do a wind power project somewhere in the Tema Harbor enclave. So we have plans for wind, and we're rolling it out alongside the solar plants. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Nominee, the last time I checked, I was shocked when I realized that when it comes to renewables, we only have a DEX officer at the ministry. About a year ago, when I checked, do you think that portends a country that is ready to transition, or we should be doing something differently under your leadership?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, we have to correct that. There is a whole renewable unit and under the Power Directorate at the Ministry of Energy, which is being manned by very competent, serious directors, deputy directors, and officers at the ministry. And all the work that we do under Renewable is being led by the Renewable Energy Division under the Power Directorate of the Ministry of Energy. Of course, definitely we can complement the team more and more. We also bring in officers from our agencies, BUI, VRA, every now and then to complement the team. But we have a very strong team at the ministry, which is really helping us to roll out the renewable projects that we are doing in the ministry. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Nominee, the last time I checked, one of our plans was that state institutions will sign on to renewable, specifically solar. I have seen a number of panels at the Jubilee, and I think the Ministry of Energy have seen panels on the roofing. Is it the case that it's a rollout plan that state institutions will sign on to solar, or what is the plan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The plan is for government to go solar. So that's what we're calling it, Government Goes Solar. And the Ministry of Energy, together with AFDB and other donor partners, is taking the lead to really put solar, give solar energy to some of the government agencies. And we're going beyond MMDAs to include schools, hospitals, essentially government agencies would be deployed on solar so that we can deepen the intake of solar across the country. So it's a program that we're calling Government Goes Solar, and we're using funding from AFDB and other donor partners to bring government agencies on under the program, together with senior high schools and government hospitals. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Herbert Krapa, let me tease your mind on TOR. We are aware of the difficulties, the perpetual difficulties that TOR has been going through. What is your, and we know TOR is performing suboptimal. If you agree to this statement, what are you bringing differently to the table?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you're right. TOR has a capacity of 45,000 barrels per day. It is doing nothing like that. And so performance of TOR is suboptimal. TOR's challenges are not permanent. I hold the view strongly that we can turn TOR around. I think also that TOR's problems are twofold. They are both internal and external. External really is the financing matter. Internal also, we need to really work with the leadership of TOR for some reorganization and if you like, re-establishment of the institution so that we can have confidence in the institution, and external parties can also have confidence to invest in the institution. So that's the internal aspect. And then, of course, for the external aspect, I think TOR really could do with capital injection. The terminal business, the tanks, the pipelines, the country, all of these, TOR will need some capital injection to rehabilitate, to service, to maintain, and bring it to capacity. And then you look at the other side of the business, which is the heavy refinery side of the business, and you're talking about the crude distillation unit and the catalytic cracker. That's, on the other side, also requiring investments to come in. But I think to start with, TOR itself acknowledges that it will need an external partner, a strategic partner, as they call it. They've tried in the past to do so, albeit unsuccessfully. My thinking is that the ministry, continuing to work with the Ministry of Finance, should continue to work with TOR to bring in this strategic investment. I think also, as we know, a private refinery called Centio, which has been set up, has a capacity of 100,000 barrels per day, currently doing 40,000 barrels. I see nothing wrong with some form of partnership between TOR and Centio. TOR has the facilities and the capacity. Centio is currently producing. I believe a conversation can be opened for both institutions to dialogue about some form of partnership, which I suspect helps TOR to itself start to generate some funding, and then also we help them with the conversation about a strategic partner. And Mr. Chairman, I can assure the committee that this is a matter that we'll be working on very seriously when you're kind enough to give us the nod. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Nominee, how fair would this conclusion of mine be if I say that you have beautifully catalogued the challenges of TOR, and you have been in the ministry, however fleeting it's been? What has been your support, contribution in changing the narrative, as you have eloquently spoken to?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, do you mean me personally?
I mean you as a deputy minister.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I believe that all the work that the ministry has been doing with TOR under the leadership of the minister, all I have done as a deputy minister is to support him, and I don't believe that any personal support or effort has come from me. It's been under the leadership of the minister with my support. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, this will be my last. Honorable Herbert Krapa, I am sure you are aware of what happens globally. I can give you some examples. Germany, very strong in the area of conversion of waste to energy. We have a lot of waste, even though they come in diverse forms. I still insist we have waste that could be converted into usable forms, energy. Do you agree to this? And if you are giving the nod, what are you bringing to the table in the area of conversion of waste to energy?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, waste to energy is an area that the ministry, together with the Ministry of Local Government, Sanitation, Environment, Science and Technology, has been working around. On the contrary, Mr. Chairman, the waste that is required to run these plants, I believe that it's been a challenge, it's been lacking. And so maybe 2 weeks ago, we had some prospective investors in waste to energy come to the ministry, and their plan actually is to import their own waste. But whatever it is, the ministry would continue to work with the local government ministry, with the Ministry of Sanitation. We believe that a waste to energy plant should be able to be constructed once significant waste can be accrued. I believe that it's not a ball that we should drop. The ministry will work with the other ministries, and I'm sure that we should be able to close a project on waste to energy in the near future. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Gifty.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Nominee, congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Nominee here occupies a position in addition to the Deputy Minister for energy, which in the Fourth Republic, if my memory serves me right, we haven't had anybody doing that. He is a minister of state, a deputy minister for energy, and now going to be a minister of state for energy. The major service provider of energy in the country, that is the ECG. He happens to be the board chair of ECG. I want to ask the nominee, now that he's even being about to be promoted, what happens if technical advice or cabinet advice to ECG is not adhered to? And he being the chair, how is he going to manage the dual positions as far as ECG and policies are concerned? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I believe the ministry sets policy guidelines for the agencies, and the agencies have a duty, a responsibility to implement those policies. I believe that my presence on the board has ensured harmonization of implementing the policies that the government, the ministry, sets up. And I don't, on the face of it, see a difficulty in performing both roles. On the contrary, as I said, it's helped me to actually see direct.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, may I ask the nominee, after he was appointed the board chair for ECG, he made a public statement which was very soothing. We have few days to that date. That was July 24, that power management or doomsaw or whatever you may call it will be a thing of the past. Can he tell us the state as of now and going forward? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the power situation, as I believe every Ghanaian can attest to, is stable. We're delivering reliable and stable power supply to all our consumers across the country. The work of ECG is essentially to do that, and I can assure this committee and the Ghanaian people that the challenges that we saw in the last couple of months, government, the ministry in ECG has a firm hold on the situation now, and will continue to perform the function of ensuring that our consumers, our customers, have reliable and dependable power supply across the country. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chair, I want to congratulate the nominee for this appointment.
Some confidence to the country and industry. Thank you.
Thank you. In savings, US dollars, and then the cost reduction measures that we have put in place as well.
Of the tribunal, to the extent that the country has been saved about $7 billion from the claimants. I want you to tell the country what this issue was about and your impressions from the decision and whether it brings finality to the matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you're right. The arbitral award was issued by the panel yesterday, essentially saying that the government of Ghana does not have to pay any monetary damages to the claimants. Also saying that while under the laws of Ghana, unitization is permissible, the manner, the procedure that was invoked to do the unitization is what the panel took issue with, What it means, or what I believe it means, is that the government's policy that when two wells straddle, blocks straddle, they can be unitized so that we can save the infrastructure, the cost that goes into developing them separately. We can save all of that cost. I believe what this award does is to signal to the government to cure the anomaly, which has been pointed out, and the government's policy of unitizing the blocks. We can go ahead with it and ensure that we develop both blocks, bring out our hydrocarbon resources for the benefit of the Ghanaian people. The good news is that the claim that was being made, $7 billion US, that was being made on the government, the panel finds that government doesn't have to pay any of that at all. The panel found GMPC not to be liable in any way whatsoever in what transpired. We reserve the right under our laws to unitize blocks that we believe straddle and don't have to be developed independently. And I believe that the ministry would do a review together with the Attorney General's office, and will be advised accordingly on what the next step should be. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And let me congratulate the ministry and government on this feat. On the 5th of July, the VRA issued another statement on its intentions to hold a stakeholder forum on some upcoming spillage of the dam. Can you bring us in tune with the program by the VRA so that we are not caught aware like what happened to the country last year? Thank you. Mr. Chairman, that's the end of my question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Volta River Authority, whenever it believes that it has to let go some of the water in order to protect the integrity of the dam, it does so. We saw that the water levels last year was such that the spilling, although VRA took a decision to start early, the spilling still affected a significant number of people, displacing people from their homes. VRA, I must commend, worked very hard with government. I was the minister who was assigned on the matter, and we were in the affected communities every week trying to assist to bring life back to normal. The lesson has been learned. And so what VRA is doing this year, owing to the forecasts that we have seen, showing that the water levels are still going to rise, VRA is starting to engage very early, sensitizing stakeholders very, very early in the day. But more importantly, VRA envisages that if and when the spilling starts, it'll start very, very early enough that it'll cover such a long period of time that the volumes that will be spilled on a daily basis will be small. Smaller quantities will be spilled over a longer period of time, in the hope that we will not see the displacements that we saw last year when we spilled. So that's the plan. VRA is going ahead with the stakeholder consultations and the sensitizations, and the ministry and central government will work closely with them to ensure that the program that they have put in place to mitigate the impact of the spill and also ensure the integrity of the dam will be executed according to plan. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yes. Honorable Deputy Minister, I didn't know that you've even gone ahead of me and you have LLM. I was looking at your CV and I realized that you have such scholarship and extensive education. You have MSc in
Development Finance. And then Masters of Laws, Corporate and Commercial Law, London School of Economics and Political Science. And then you started off in Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and read agriculture. I was looking at your CV. When are you going to stop learning in universities? Or I don't know whether you intend reading a PhD or something like that.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, you are one of my teachers. You and I have a habit of trading books. You buy books for me, I buy books for you. So whether in the university or outside of the university, the learning will continue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Honorable, ordinarily I shouldn't ask you any question because my interaction with you as a chair of Electricity Company of Ghana and some of the serious business of my committee, I mean, leaves me no doubt that you're a very competent person. You have a very cool head to assimilate complexities, and you have also a good temperament to deal with people. But so I'm persuaded that your elevation is going to give us a lot of dividend, and it shouldn't change. And power should not swell your head. It should give you humility because of the interesting dimension to power that where you are going has an expiry date. And you'll be remembered for the results you generate. And also the fact that your human person is beautiful. Nevertheless, I'll just ask maybe a couple of questions and then I'll leave you to be. Do you have a good understanding about we having nuclear power? And is it a risky undertaking when you hear the word nuclear? You know, the ordinary man is thinking of bombs. And where are we with this whole undertaking that if you should have nuclear energy, it is going to enhance our energy mix?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, nuclear is seeing a renaissance across the globe. The earlier difficulties and skepticism, I believe, is currently being overcome. Nuclear is cleaner and is cheaper, and so government is determined to add nuclear in our energy mix because then it helps to drive down the eventual cost of electricity. Government took a decision, cabinet, took a decision way back in 2008 to onboard nuclear as part of our energy mix. And we've been working with the International Atomic Energy Agency to try and roll out systematically a nuclear program. First things that was done was to set up the institutions. So we have the Ghana Nuclear Power Program, which is a body under the Ministry of Energy to essentially ensure coordination. And then we have the authority, the Nuclear Regulatory Authority, to provide regulatory supervision. And then Nuclear Power Ghana, which would be the owner-operator. We've seen renewed energy in the attempt to close a nuclear power program. Preparatory works have been advanced. Site selection, we shortlisted 4 sites. 2 of them have been zeroed in with a preferred one and a backup one. We're doing sensitization work in those areas as well as across the country. Social and economic impact assessments have been done by ISER. Environmental impact assessment has been done as well. We have issued a request for information and a further request for information. We've seen a plethora of vendors shown interest. We've signed MOUs with some of them. The sticky point is the financing, and we're engaging these potential vendors in a bit to try and understand the financing nature of the project. And we hope that once we are able to navigate that, a vendor should be selected and we should be able to roll out the nuclear program. It'll help us ultimately with our green credentials. It'll help us to bring down the cost of electricity. And the plan is that 1/3 of our energy mix, when nuclear comes on board, should be able to serve as a base load for the rest of solar and gas-powered thermal plants to complement it. That's where we are, Mr. Chairman.
In your unique role as the chairman of the ECG Company Limited board, what is your diagnosis of the major challenges of ECG, and what do you want to proffer as solutions to bring ECG to function at full throttle?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have to say that my 3 months period as chairman of the company has really opened my eyes to some of the issues that ECG faces. I think ECG's issues mainly go to its inability to collect the power that it sells. That is at the heart of the matter. Commercial losses are standing at about 17.71%. Transmission losses, technical losses, about nearly 10%. So before we could start, close to 30% of the power that we sell is gone down the drain. We have to find a way to support ECG to be able to collect the revenue, the revenue from the power that it sells, the electricity that it sells. I think ECG itself, I have to also say, being on the board, ECG itself internally has done significant work to support that agenda. The digital agenda that it has rolled out in terms of digital collection of the electricity that the power it sells has almost doubled the revenue collection. And then on the technical side, ECG is already rolling out 3 major programs. First, what they're calling a loss reduction program, using private vendors to manufacture and install meters, which is a major challenge. And then also we are tagging all our assets, what we are calling customers and assets information management systems. So we know all our assets, we know all our customers, and it helps in driving revenue. And then very importantly is the boundary metering project for electricity accountability. So we are, right from the feeders, we are metering the regions and the districts. So as a regional manager, all the electricity that comes to you, we require you to account for it because we're able to track it, and as a district manager as well. So I believe those programs is helping ECG to start the work of coming out of the woods. What I think is that we have to break into 2 the operations of ECG. the bulk supply point operations, sub-transmission, 33 kV, 11 kV, distribution transformers, all of that I believe should continue to be the mainstay of ECG. The bottom part, the downstream, LVs, commercial and retail, I believe ECG can use some private participation to help with capital, technology, and efficiency, so that bringing all of those efforts together, we can collect more of the electricity we sell and be able to generate power very seamlessly for the consumption of our customers. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
The evidence is clear that hydro is a very, very, very cheap source of energy generation. Are there plans to improve upon the power of hydro so that it will go a long way to help us with our energy generation? Because right now, it has been said, but for VRA and what VRA is doing, would have been in a major energy crisis. Are we blessed with a lot of water resources in the realm, and are there plans to tap into these water sources so we improve upon our power generation via hydro?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, you raise a very significant point. Hydro, you are right, it's cleaner and it's cheaper. So, as you know, whenever PURC does the quarterly adjustments in between the 3-year major reviews, the ratio of hydro to thermal is a major component factor in determining the tariff. Of course, as together with inflation and exchange rate and the cost of fuel. So hydro is significant. It's important that we are able to generate more hydro. Akosombo is currently doing a dependable capacity of about 900, Bui about 370, more, I believe, about 140. The good news is that we have on river basins scattered across the country, we have hydro potential. Mr. Chairman, about 16 of them, I believe. That's 3 on the white Volta, and I believe there's 4 each on the black Tanor and Pra, and 1 on the Oti River, Joale. What government has to do is to focus on these hydro resources, which altogether can give us about 800 megawatts. And if you added that to about 1,400 that we are currently doing, you're in the realm of about 2,200 megawatts. In terms of Joale, in terms of Heman, Chachadu, there's some work that has started, and I believe government should focus attention on those ones while we over time try to bring the other resources on board. So you're right, Mr. Chairman, and I believe we'll be paying some attention, more attention to developing these hydro resources in the coming months. Thank you very much.
Now, I'm winding down. Recently, there was a bit of a challenge with power generation and electricity supply. And a lot of people said, this government, Akufo-Addo's government, has been good in keeping the power on for close to 8 years until this, recent interruption. And they said the government was good, measured against a scenario way back before we assumed power, that this nation could be in darkness for 3.5 years. From where you sit, can you say that the two scenarios are the same? This situation of we having. Honorable Mama, why are you looking into my eyes? Can you say that there's a interruption in the power supply this year? If you should do a proper measurement, it's equal to the 3.5 years of power outages that the people of Ghana had to endure under President Mahama, and what accounted for this temporary interruption in the power supply after 7 years of a splendid performance by the Akufo-Addo government.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, I think to start with, government deserves commendation for keeping the lights on for all these years, since 2017. Mr. Chairman, what we saw between 2012 to 2016 is easily the worst and longest period of power crisis in our country. And the problem was that we didn't have reserve capacity. We didn't have enough dependable capacity to meet the demand, which I think was caused by two major factors: lack of planning and lack of timely investment into the sector. And that's why we saw the problem that we saw between 2012 and 2016 when the NDC was in power. There wasn't an integrated planning and there wasn't timely investment in the sector. So when the investment eventually came, it was in the form of an emergency. And the further problem that was created was that more capacity was procured than we needed, further bequeathing the economy with humongous debt. In trying to solve the problem in an emergency way, we created some more problems. That was the problem that we faced at that time, when the lights will be on barely for 12 hours and off for 24 hours. That's not the situation that we saw briefly in the last couple of months, because for now, our capacity, the capacity, generation capacity that we have, far outstrips the demand that we have. Our highest peak demand, highest peak demand, which was recorded last year, is 3,618 megawatts. 3,618 megawatts. And we have capacity of over 5,000 megawatts currently as a country, 5,639 megawatts capacity. And so if you look at the difference, there can be no way that you can compare this situation where there's enough capacity, demand cannot outstrip the supply. You can't compare this to what we saw in the past when we couldn't meet the demand. What happened recently, which thankfully government has been able to take a hold of the situation, and the hope is that we would see no more, is that there were a cocktail of issues coming together at the same time. We had the water level drop very significantly. We had issues with some of the power plants going down around the same time. And then, of course, we had some fuel, procurement issues. But thankfully, we've been able to put all those matters behind us. The Ghanaian people can attest to the fact that the lights are on, and they're able to go about economic activity and their lives and their livelihoods in the manner that they desire. And we believe that the situation will continue the way it is going forward under the leadership of the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Very well. I have a few questions for you. I'm aware that Tullow Oil is up in arms demanding payment for gas supply. Says that they've supplied gas for power generation, distribution, and use by Ghanaians for many years. We haven't paid them. How come that ECG, which is the end user of the power generated and transmitted, they distribute and collect them? How come you cannot get sufficient money to pay for the gas by which we generated the power?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, I believe that I teased this a bit earlier. The collection challenge of ECG is the problem. We are, in a way, handicapped in many regards. We don't have enough meters for our customers. We don't have enough functional or functioning meters. And then, of course, we also have the problem of illegal connections, which takes a significant portion of our revenues away from us. ECG is, as I mentioned earlier, is using technology, digital technology, to try and go around these issues. So coupled with the task force that we have on ground, we're now using AI tools so that sitting in Accra, we're able to know which households are consuming more than they're paying. And now we don't have to be all over the place, all roaming around. Now we're able to use the data to come directly to you. And once we are able to find that there's illegal connection and whatever it is, we take you off, and then we take you through the process of you paying all the debt and then restoring you. So the challenge is with the collection, and based on the programs that we are rolling out, I believe that we should be able to go around the problem. I think also that we really have to use every opportunity that we find to really bring the Ghanaian people and all our consumers along the thinking that if we paid for what we have consumed, then we are able to buy the fuel to generate and then supply everyone. So there's a cycle that we all have to appreciate, and if we worked together with government, I'm confident.
Commercial losses?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that constitutes a part of what we call commercial losses, and we're looking at something in the range of close to 18% currently of ECG's distribution in commercial losses. And I think if you have a business and before you can start, you know that you have lost 18%, and then you are losing some close to 10% as well in terms of technical losses. That's partly because of machines and all of that. But if you have a business and before you can start, you know that in terms of commercial losses, you have 17%, close to 18% already down. I think that's not a business that is by any means sustainable. And that's a very disturbing situation. And by all means, a lot of our attention as a government, as a people, should be focused on curing that challenge, Mr. Chairman.
Well, as a government, as a people, eventually, what we don't pay for, government is forced to raise money, either loans or somewhere to pay. But you, ECG, you're responsible, and I'm focusing on you as a board chairman. You're responsible for ensuring that the power consumed is paid for. You've said you're using AI tools. Can you share any dividends or improvements that the AI tools are generating so far?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, yes, I can tell this committee that the tools that we have put in place are really generating dividend. I mentioned earlier about the use of the digital collections, which has almost halved the collections. And also these tools that we are deploying we're able to now bring in some significant appreciation of the debt that is stuck out there with our customers. But of course, Mr. Chairman, it is work in progress. You also have to have enough people on the ground who are going out there using the data to go after customers who are engaged in illegal connection and are holding our monies and are not paying. And a complement of the two, the technology and the people, we have to be able to find a good balance to do that. But by all means, I can report to the committee that we're seeing an improvement in the collections, and we'll continue to do more. We have given the management a target.
Are you assuring us that, for example, at the close of 1 year, you can report commercial losses down to 10%, for example?
Mr. Chairman, 10% commercial losses is from 17, 18% would have been a significant progress. Our efforts would be to achieving that and even go beyond that. If we are able to come to a single-digit commercial loss, then we know that we are actually really making significant gains. And I can assure the committee that under our leadership, everything we have to do to empower ECG, both internally and also in terms of our customers, to ensure that we collect the most that we can and bring down the commercial losses significantly, we will do so. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
You know, one of the challenges you have mentioned is not enough meters to go around. You know, it's very frustrating to wanting to move into a place. You have a new residence, either a business or residential accommodation. You are willing and ready to pay for the cost. But then ECG says, we don't have meters. We can't connect you. Can't you see why illegal connection will be rampant in such circumstances?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, while we don't condone illegal connection in any way, we take the point as well that we don't have enough meters out there for our customers. And like I mentioned, the loss reduction program that we're rolling out is working with about 6 or 7 private firms who are manufacturing and giving an area. We carve areas for them to manufacture and install these meters. We've given them a target of 100,000 meters a month. At the last board report, we saw that we're doing about 40,000 a month. I asked for a plan which would show that we will be able to do the 100,000 a month. At the very last meeting that we had, I got an update that we've been able to move to about 60,000. We'll stay on them, Mr. Chairman, and ensure that we're able to deploy meters to all our customers across the country. Thank you very much.
You know, Honorable Deputy Minister and Chairman of UCG Board, in Akan we say, Amania mehunu yemfentu tuka. If you owe, you don't come and lament to me, pay me. I have a hospital built at Poano in my constituency. Construction is completed over 2 years now. Ghana Health Service is ready to deploy, but for a little over 2 years, we can't connect power. I have personally gone to the ECG offices. I'm always online, and the community is up in arms. How can you build this whole facility? It's a complete clinic with residential facilities for the health attendant, but they can't move in. If I had a means of connecting illegally, should I wait for you?
Mr. Chairman, as the First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, that sounds like a very dangerous anomaly that such a facility for all this period would have no power connection. I don't really know what the challenge is, Mr. Chairman, but I don't think it's a matter that would last any longer.
It has been over
we'll
2
rectify
years. I'm saying it publicly. I have personally walked and sat with the ECG management at Bekwai. They assured me, oh, we're going to do it this week, as we speak today. There's not been any connection. But I'm trying to bring home to you the frustrations businesses and residential facility owners face. And so if people have means of connecting, if that is where I was going to live, whatever it means to get the power there, I would.
Mr. Chairman, you're right. I mean, since becoming chairman of ECG, I receive a number of calls on a daily basis. What surprises me is that the moment I put a call through to management, usually 3 days, 1 week, and you see that there's progress. What it tells me is that really the capacity is there. There's just a certain missing link that we need to find a way to navigate, because not everybody will probably be able to get hold of me to then make a call. And I think that missing link essentially is what we have to navigate, whether it is at the local levels or what it is. ECG has to re-look at the structure and how it's able to carry out its operational issues. And I can assure you, Mr. Chairman, that we'll pay some more attention to that matter. Thank you very much.
Very well. There are two things that have come out. One, the gas. We take it on credit. We use it to generate power. We Ghanaians consume it. We don't pay back. Or what we pay back do not go back to the gas supplier. So government has to borrow to go back and pay the gas. And then we turn around and complain that we are borrowing too much. Or even when ECG has the power, they won't connect you because they don't have meters, or that somebody is deliberately not doing as well. These are the challenges I'm putting before you as we consider you today. I hope that when we meet again, we will not be coming back to these challenges. Demonstrate that you are capable and it can make some changes happen. On that note, congratulate you. We will hear from us, but for now, you're discharged. Something significant I'm seeing, though, is that you're the second person who has appeared before us, or the third person who has appeared before us without any family support. This is great. Only 2 people have been brought to me to be acknowledged. Mr. Samuel Ajete, the Director of Power at the Ministry of Energy. Thank you for coming. And then I see the name of Mr. Nchidakwa, the Chief Executive of VRA. Very well, Chief. I see you. We thank you for coming to support the nominee. Herbert, for now, you're discharged. You hear from us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I also want to take the opportunity to thank you again for having me. Thank you very much.